The Texans edged out the division rival Colts 20-16 in Indianapolis on Sunday to move within a game of the lead in the AFC South. To learn what happened and to discuss what it means for the Texans' playoff chances, we're joined, as we are most Mondays, by Houston press writer and Bleav in Astros podcast co-host Jeff Balke. Good morning, Jeff.
Good morning.
So we'll get to the game and what's been working lately for the Texans here in a minute. But first, being just a game back of the division lead behind the Colts and the Jaguars with 5 games to go, what are their chances of getting into the playoffs looking like now?
I think they're certainly better than they were before yesterday. They are currently 4-1 in the division, which is pretty startling considering where they're at. They only have one more division game left against those same Colts, so they still have a chance. And by the way, the Jaguars and Colts play each other twice before the end of the season. So there's going to be some cannibalization within the, certainly within this division. And I think it makes the division possibly in reach. Now, the Jaguars have the easiest schedule of the three. The Colts probably have the most difficult. The Texans somewhere in the middle. So a lot's going to depend on how the Texans continue to play as they play out the string of games till the end of the season through Week 17.
So you said they finished the season with the Colts. That's the last game. What does the rest of the Texans' remaining schedule look like?
Well, the Texans have a couple of tough teams in there because they have the Chiefs next week on Sunday Night Football, which should be a really interesting matchup between these two. Because the Chiefs are kind of on a downward slope right now. They have the Cardinals, which is certainly a winnable game. The Raiders, who are not good. But then they face the Chargers, who are a very good team this year, and then the Colts. So out of those remaining games, they have really multiple games that are winnable, but none of them are necessarily going to be pushovers. And so this is a team that's going to have to continue playing really well if they want to have a chance at winning the division or slipping into the wild card.
They are the first team on the outside looking in if the season were to end right now. After starting the season with 3 straight losses, the Texans have now won 7 of their last 9. What's behind that turnaround, which, by the way, included several games without their starting quarterback?
First and foremost, they're the best defense in the NFL, and they are a brutally difficult defense to play against because they have the two things that most defenses want, and that is they have a tremendously good secondary, and they also have a ferocious pass rush. They are just very, very difficult to play against. They warp games against other teams. They make teams change what they're going to do on the field simply because of how tough they are. I think the other thing that they've done is, quite frankly, they've just been able to manage the time of possession. They've played pretty conservatively. They haven't made a ton of mistakes. They've certainly when Davis Mills was playing, he didn't throw a bunch of interceptions, and that certainly helped them. CJ Stroud has been careful with the ball as well. So a lot of this has just been play conservatively, play careful, run the ball when you can, and then go ahead and use your world-leading defense to sort of lead the way. If the Texans were able to push the ball into the end zone inside the red zone, they're the worst team in the NFL at doing that. If they could just do that a couple more times, this team would be very tough to beat.
You mentioned CJ Stroud. He missed a few games with a concussion, and Davis Mills filled in for him. How did CJ Stroud look in his first game back?
He looked okay. He wasn't great. He definitely had a little bit of rust on him, but he was good, and he didn't make any huge mistakes. He gave up 1 interception. There were a couple of throws that were maybe a little questionable in there. But overall, he played a solid game, not spectacular. And I think that's the main thing that the Texans needed from him against a team like the Colts. Listen, in most games, they are going to be in it because of their defense. So if CJ Stroud just doesn't turn the ball over and then is able to use his talent and his athleticism at the moments when they need him to, then this is going to be a team that's going to be a tough out down the stretch.
During Sunday's game, there were a couple of critical incidents involving the refs that ended up hurting the Colts down the stretch. What happened?
Well, the biggest stretch was when basically the CJ Stroud didn't get the ball off in time. The play clock hit 0, and the refs did not call a delay of game. Then during the pass, it was on a 3rd down critical moment. They called pass interference on the Colts, giving the Texans first down. pass interference didn't really look much like pass interference. So a couple of plays right in a row that were very questionable. In addition, there was a field goal attempt by the Texans that honestly didn't look like it was actually in. It looked like the rule, as it was explained on TV, is that the entirety of the football must be inside the outside edge of the goalpost. And honestly, on TV, it looked like it wasn't completely inside the edge. They called it good. And, and then the Colts missed a point, an extra point, which cost them as well. It was honestly, this is one of those games where if you're a Houston conspiracy theorist, you might have wondered if we were getting paid back for all of those years that we had struggles against the officials ourselves, because that was not a great game in terms of the call on the field.
Yeah, sometimes things go your way once in a while, hopefully. You mentioned CJ Stroud sharpening up, also punching it in the red zone more often, but what else does this team need to do more of, do better over the next few games to close that gap and get over the hump, whatever you want to say, get into the postseason?
Yeah, I mean, they need to run the football. I mean, that's been the thing all year long. If they can get any semblance of a running game going with Woody Marks, with Nick Chubb, it's just gonna loosen up the defense, and it's gonna make it easier for them to throw the ball, particularly throw the ball downfield, which is something they haven't really excelled at this season. I think the other thing is just defensively, they've got to continue to be really tough. Like they are so tough rushing for, which makes it so difficult on teams, because then you can still drop all those other players back into coverage. I think that the combination of good health over the course of the last few games, along with the push of the defense and just a good, solid, steady offense that doesn't turn the ball over, I think they're going to still have a real good chance of getting the win in the division. It's not going to be easy, and no one's going to hand it to them. I also don't think that they're necessarily going to make the wild card. There are too many good teams that are looking for that. So I'd be shocked if there were two teams out of the South Division that actually get through the wild card. We'll see. I could certainly be wrong, but I think their best route at this point is to try and win the division, and I still think that is a possibility.
Just glad to see them making it interesting after that 0-3 start. So appreciate your time, Jeff, helping us break this down. Jeff Balke writes for the Houston Press and co-hosts the Bleav in Astros podcast. Jeff, have a good week.
Thank you, Craig. Mike.